am Sidney.
And this is Monique and Sidney's Open Relationship. It's been a minute.
Yeah.
So we're excited to be back, my babies. You know, Daddy, let's just talk about this up front, though, right?
Please.
There are times when, you know, we'll say we're going to do the show. And then we just get caught in life, right?
Yes.
So we're excited to be back today. And we can ready to have a great time, Daddy. What we talking about?
Do you have trust issues?
And how did we come up with that one?
A multitude of things. But it was a conversation that I had with an individual who shared with me a person who they asked if they trust anyone, and they said no. And constantly we hear, or you hear people say, trust no one.
Mm-hmm.
Or I don't trust anyone.
Yes.
So hence, here we are. Do you have trust issues?
But I'm going to tell you something too. That is something that's almost, we were almost taught it without the words even being said. We were almost conditioned to believe you don't trust anybody. Like I remember when my mother said, you make sure you put something away for a rainy day.
Right.
Well, that's something that we're taught as little girls, you know, coming up. You make sure you always have you something to the side and you don't trust no. So I think that's put into us from children on. Do you have trust issues? And we want to talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
Well, you know what, Tim? I did a post, right? Of this couple that they just got engaged, 78 years old. Beautiful couple.
Young whippersnappers.
I mean, Daddy, not one wrinkle on her face. Skin beautiful. Both of them just as giddy. It was beautiful. And for the most part, the comments were really beautiful. But you had some sisters that were saying, I've given up on love. I'm happy for them and 50.
That's another show. Have you given up on love?
well, I think it goes hand in hand because it's almost like I don't trust anybody with my feelings.
Gotcha.
So I've given up on love. Do you have trust issues? Come on.
Miss Bahati Vuitton says, I do have trust issues sometimes.
Okay, what does that mean, sugar? Call us up 470-282-1802. I think for a long time I had trust issues.
And why for that?
Well, I mean, just because of a lot of the shit that was happening. You know, and you wanted to hold everybody accountable for other people's behavior.
Mm-hmm.
I think in the beginning, I don't think it was trust issues. I think I was just used to acting a certain way. If that makes sense.
Sure. It's like their trust issues based upon what you said, your past experiences. And that's where the word baggage seems to come from, because you're bringing your past to the present.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, sometimes you're unable to distinguish that what you're dealing with in the present is not the same as what you had to deal with in the past.
And that stops a lot of great relationships. Friendships, not just, you know, romantic relationships, but just relationships, period. Because we can't let go of those yesterdays with that baggage, and you want to hold everybody accountable for somebody else's behavior. Ain't that a bitch?
It can be. It says, Misha DeSalle, gotta pay attention to the red flags. If it's waving, make the right moves for yourself. When people want to be in your life, they make corrections accordingly.
Mm. Yes, I would agree.
Mm-hmm.
You have to make corrections. You know, I had to respond to the baby that said she had given up on love at 36. Because we got married when we were when? How old were we?
38.
38. So please, baby, don't give up on love. Like, I wish we wouldn't put ourselves in a place where we start believing that we can't trust anybody. Because you have to ask yourself, what kind of journey is that to be on when you trust nobody? Like, that shit could not possibly be fun. Where, you know, You can't share your innermost thoughts and if you have a secret, you can't, like, just nothing, because you can't trust nobody. That's a hell of a way to live, baby. I wouldn't want to be on that ride. So if our babies are dealing with those trust issues, we have to really ask ourselves why.
Why?
Like, what is it about me that I feel like I can trust? Come on, y'all. We're talking about it. 470-282-1802.
Get that tea.
Daddy, I had to get it.
And that's the real tea.
Okay. Okay. How about I was slow to it?
That's all right.
I was slow to it.
That's it.
Do you have trust issues? And you know what, too? I think in a lot of relationships, what happens is, because we're taught not to trust, we never experience what real love is. And I think that goes hand in hand, Daddy.
Absolutely. I mean, there's so many things that happen on a regular basis that make people afraid to trust. And it doesn't have to necessarily be with individuals that you're in an intimate relationship. It could be coworkers, people you deal with on a daily basis. And these programs that you watch on TV on a regular basis, Forensic Files and First 48, and it's always something negative, dealing with somebody getting killed for money or this, that, and the other. So you begin to have a negative disposition and view of the people around you. And oftentimes we have to be careful of the words that we use when we say, I don't trust anyone, because that means you're forgetting about your somebody too. So does that mean you don't trust yourself? Does that mean you don't trust your judgment enough to be able to pick up on someone that you do trust? And especially when it's your significant other. If you're not fully invested, you're cheating yourself.
You're cheating yourself. You're cheating your family. Because if you're not living to your fullest potential of saying, I'm totally let me go with this individual, with my family, that becomes a prison inside of your own home, inside of you, because you're so busy holding on, and you got to ask yourself, what am I holding on to? And people say, well, I'm afraid of being hurt. Well, y'all, that's a part of the ride. Mm-hmm. That's a part of the ride. Like I don't know the person. I've never talked to the person that said, I ain't never had no hurt. I've not talked to that person. Mm-hmm. That just said, my ride has just been a sparkling ride. Ain't nothing ever gone wrong. No bumps, no bruises. I've not. So for us to be so willing to close ourselves off, and Tuffy and I were talking before we started, and she's 33 years old. Our baby girl is 33. And she said, Aunt Nikki, our generation, we're looking for it so bad, but we really don't know what it is that we're looking for. Because once we get into these relationships, now, for her, she was grateful enough to experience what true love was. And she lost her husband. But she said this generation now, we just looking forward, but we really don't know what it is. So now when we get into these relationships, you've heard all this foolishness. You've watched all this foolishness. So now you really don't know when your backs get up against the wall, because you don't trust each other enough to say, this is what I'm really feeling. Or this is what I'm really thinking. Or this is what I'm really into. Or this is, so it's almost like when you're hearing people say, I was married for 20 years, but we were never really in love.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Tori H says, we have these traumatic experiences that happen to us in love and life. We aren't taught how to forgive and what it actually means, and to take time to recover and then move on.
Who teaches it? And who, and that baby's, I'm going to tell y'all something. I didn't understand forgiveness for real, until I had to be forgiven. And that was painful, because You want that forgiveness. You can't take it back. You can't make it different. But until I had to be forgiven, I didn't really understand how to forgive. I knew how to be angry. I knew how to hold on. I knew how to say, you know what? We ain't never got to talk again. I knew how to say all of those things, but no one ever taught me how to forgive and fight for a relationship and make changes where changes have to be made. No one ever taught that. So when we talk about trust issues, I think that that's just the umbrella, Daddy, for real.
So when did you said until you were forgiven?
Mm-hmm.
So what about that made you learn about forgiveness per se?
Because I knew what it felt like.
So when were you forgiven?
Oh, when you had to forgive me for some shit.
Well, the reason why I'm asking you is, have you never had to be forgiven before in your life prior to that?
Well, not to understand it like that. Like
that's what.
Okay.
Now we're trying to drill down.
Okay.
So to be forgiven doesn't seem like that was the thing that allowed you to understand forgiveness. So it's kind of like, what is it specifically that allowed you to understand? Because and the reason why I'm asking is because people are forgiven all the time,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't understand sometimes what it was that they were given and what the forgiveness they received entailed, to a degree that it makes them a more forgiving person to others when they ask for forgiveness, or at least be more patient when they don't understand that they should be asking for forgiveness. So for what was the dynamic that changed, that made you see that forgiveness? Because it had to be beyond just, I'm going to forgive you.
Well, I think that it was the patience through it. I think it was the I saw people make up, but then you still knew something was wrong. You know what I'm saying? I heard the I'm sorry, but you still knew something was wrong. With you, it's done. And it was done. It wasn't, it's done today, bitch, but you gotta believe on Thursday, I'm gonna come back at it again, because that's what I was used to, So I think for what I felt from you was, I forgive you and it's done. And what I had to do was make sure I was never in that position again. Before, if I messed up, it was, all right, I forgive you. Let's say if I was with another man or one of my other husbands or a family member, whoever, I forgive you, but we really didn't deal with it. We really didn't address what was really going on to put us in that place. With you and I, you addressed it from A to Z. It was, and the way that it was addressed, and the way that you dealt with me, and the way that the nurturing that took place through me being out of pocket. It was a nurturing that made me say, well, when it's my turn, let me make sure I give back what I was getting. So I think when I say you taught me how to forgive, just in your actions of being forgiving, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. And I wanted you to share that, because sometimes the thoughts that you have in your mind have explained it.
Okay.
But everybody,
right.
So it's almost like when we deal with one another, the people that we love, oftentimes we're in a race to resolve the issue. But the issue can't be resolved unless we take the time out to discuss the issue thoroughly.
Mm-hmm.
And when you don't discuss the issue thoroughly and you're just in a rush to resolve the issue, oftentimes you get to harping in your mind on all that you didn't say, despite despite the fact that we like, are we good? Mm-hmm. We good. For real, do we good? Mm-hmm. But you're really not good because you didn't take the time to go through the cathartic measures of discussing what it was that affected you. Because when you discuss it on both sides, what it does is oftentimes let you know that the person that may have committed the wrong was not doing that with the purpose of being malicious. And then you begin to empathize with that person, because how I get through situations when we've had disagreements is, this is my mama. I'm going to, in my mind, be with her until I take my last breath.
Mm.
So how do you create an environment that will allow that idea to come into fruition? And you can't allow that idea to come into fruition if you're not going to forgive this person, because now you can't move past it, but you can't get past it unless you have a real conversation, so one another are able to see both people's sides, so that it pains you personally to think that for me as a man, for me being your husband, the idea of doing something that I know that you don't like, that pains me. So it makes me say, that's not something that I'm going to do. But you can't get to that place unless you are willing to disclose the fact that this hurts you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But that's where the trust comes in. Like, because most people don't let that go.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you what really hurt me.
Yeah.
I can't let you. And I wanna address this comment this baby said in the room, and I'm saying her because it was a female picture, and she said she talks to him like it's her real dad. Bitch, it is. No. And I wanna respond to that. You know, and I've responded to it before, but when I see it, this is also a part of, I think, that to say, and there are times that when I say he wears all the hats, he's my daddy, my lover, my boyfriend, my husband, my best friend, my boy, all of those things. But when you say you talk to him like he's your real dad, it's a feeling of, I wish I would have had the nurturing from my real dad that I receive from my husband. And during those times that it was really challenging for me, because there were some changes that I had to make. During those times, he nurtured me as if I was a little girl, because my behavior was as such. My behavior was of a teenage girl who didn't know what direction to go in, who didn't know how to accept being told what was real and true and honest. I was that little girl, so he was very patient in loving me through that. So when you talk to him like he's your real dad, I talk to him with respect. And oftentimes, I don't think we know what title to really put on that when we do see us addressing one another. And not just Sidney and I, when we just see us, period, in our community addressing one another with respect and love and humbleness and humility. It's almost like, oh, you letting them control you, or oh, she got you henpecked, or oh, all of these things that stop us from trusting and loving upon each other.
In addition to that, what happens too is people, they won't hear me say the same thing in response and refer to it as mom.
Okay.
It's as if it's a dog whistle that it's beyond the frequency of normal hearing, so folks don't hear that. And the reality is, I believe her name was Lady Detox that just said it, when you're married, your husband becomes like your father and your wife becomes like your mother. And it's not expected for individuals to understand that who have not been in that type of situation. And literally in our relationship, when you have been best friends since you were 14, and now we're 53, we've run the gamut
Daddy,
of.
we're gonna be 53.
Okay, goddamn it.
Because we're
gonna be 53. Universe willing, if I see September,
yes.
if you see December, we
Come
be
on.
53. But we're 52 right now.
Bam.
Yeah. So that being the case, if when we started off as friends, then got to a place where we were like brothers and sisters, then got to a place of being boyfriend and girlfriend, then fiance, then husband and wife, and then you're looking over one another as if you're a parent because you're saying, put on your coat. You're saying, you know, if your head is hurt, let me give you something for your head. You're watching. So if you're fortunate enough, in which, from my perspective as a black man, and as you can see, her perspective as a black woman, we're fortunate enough to wear these multitude of hats and also be friends. So it's one of those things that when people ask that question, I don't take it personally because what they just divulge is they just haven't had an opportunity to experience that. And ever so humbling, I think I can speak for you. Our wish is for everybody that's viewing and everybody that's out there to know what it is to experience that. Because if you experience that, then there's a level of behavior that you will exhibit when we're out in the world, if you will, where when you do something that's incorrect, you feel comfortable about readdressing it to make those things correct. And you become a nicer person. Yes. On the outside because you're being loved appropriately on the inside. Come on, y'all. We are talking about it today. Do you have trust issues? 470-282-1802. I guess it rang. We didn't get it. Okay, we missed it. That's all right. But be unafraid to trust. Like, be unafraid to do that. And there were things that I thought, y'all, I would take to my grave. Because they were mine. They were my thoughts and my feelings. And I thought I would never tell anybody. Because it was mine. Until I was able to look at my friend and say, I got to tell you something. He said, oh, okay. Then after I said it, it was like, oh, okay then. You want something to eat? Oh. And I knew it. But at that point, deal sealed. You know what I'm saying? And that's a beautiful place to be, babies, when you know that you're with someone that when you leave here and they leave here, y'all truly knew who you were. Mm-hmm. You truly knew who that person was, not you finding shit out in their death and you're like, wait a minute, but you truly knew the good, the bad, the ugly, the indifferent, all of those things. You truly knew who they were. That's a beautiful place to be in. And don't expect trust to be given to you if you don't, when time has elapsed and you're spending moments upon moments upon moments with an individual, but yet you're kind of like on an emotional treadmill where you're running, but you're not going anywhere because no one wants to make the first move as it relates to giving their trust. And when you don't give the trust that you're supposed to give to a person after a certain length of time, you begin to say to yourself, well, how can you expect to receive that same trust? And to trust someone and they betray your trust, believe it or not, is not a blow towards you. It's a blow towards them. And everything we're saying, please understand, it's counterintuitive because to put yourself in a vulnerable position is counterintuitive. But in order to get the best out of life, we sometimes must put ourselves in a vulnerable position and say, I'm going to entrust you with my feelings. Now, you can hurt me by betraying my trust. But regardless of if you betray my trust, because we only have a finite time while we're here, if you betray my trust, whether it's you or someone else, I'm going to have an opportunity to be with somebody that not only won't betray my trust, but I won't betray theirs. But therein lies a level of strength that goes to a point of extraordinary, because it is ordinary to trust, be betrayed, and never trust again. That's ordinary. How can you get an extraordinary life? You've got to do something extraordinary. And that's learning how to trust, even when someone has betrayed that trust.
I'm going to sit in there for a second. Y'all see,
Folks are saying they're trying to call, but the voicemail message came on.
Baby, I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on, Daddy. That's right. Call again. You know, this baby just put on here. I just got married in May. Any advice? And that they tell each other everything.
I can't see perfect. Yeah.
You know, here's what I would say. It's your marriage. Don't let nobody in it. It's yours. It's yours, baby. And I think oftentimes with our babies, everybody gets involved in what you should have said, should have done, how you should have did it, well, this and that and this and that. Don't let nobody in that. That's yours, my baby. Respect each other and love upon each other as hard as you can. And do it a lot. Yes, indeed. Be in love. Go on a honeymoon. Don't ever come off your honeymoon.
And if you are listening to others, listen to others who have a good relationship.
Come on.
Because
yes,
it's a challenge to talk to somebody that can't keep a mate. And they're oftentimes quick to tell you how to get rid of yours so that you two can be together. And great relationships, good relationships, they take work.
Come on.
They take work. It's like a person being in shape. Somebody said he was born with muscles. They was born with muscles. There are those that may be born with them, and they may look muscular, but it doesn't look like they're in shape, but they're not really in shape. It takes work to be in shape. So what happens is, in order to get your relationship in shape, it's going to take work. Friendship takes work. Friendship is not the person that you go to the bar with or to the club with, and it's always a good time. Y'all shipped up, everything is good. Friendship is when you lost your job.
Come on.
But y'all been friends for years. And they tell you, don't worry about it, I got you covered. Or we looking out, or the relationship is not over because we can't hang out at the same spot there, because there's a level of encouragement that's there or will be given. Same thing in a relationship with your significant other. It's going to take work.
Yes.
It's not going to be perfect. In the same way that you want them to forgive you when you make a mistake, you got to learn that forgiveness. And when you say you forgive, don't say I forgive you. Last thing, don't say I forgive you if you really don't. Because that means y'all just need to have conversation enough about it until you can let that thing go.
And you both be courageous enough to sit down and hear it. I'm going to tell y'all something, baby. That's what I'm saying. In the beginning, it was challenging for me because I had to hear some truths about me that my ego said, My ego was saying, this shit. But my heart was saying, you ain't never felt this way before. If what he's saying is true, you got to take it in. You got to take it in. So be unafraid to talk to each other for real. Like those real kind of conversations that get down into it. And let me just address this because I see it coming up several times. What do we think about, or what do I think about Will and Jada? That's none of my business. That's what I think about that. And you have to ask yourself, why is it any of yours? Like, we get focused in on other people's shit and we get up off our own. We get focused. It's like the soap operas. My grandmother could tell you, baby, from 11 o'clock when they came on, or 4 o'clock when they went off. She could tell you about everybody and their family and their shit, and Victor Newman. Oh, she knew all the shit, but she couldn't tell you about her own children.
But I say what we do wish them is good marriage for life.
Come on now. Good marriage for life. Good marriage for life, because words are powerful, baby. Words are powerful. But when, and I'm, this is just on me, Daddy, okay? When in this entertainment business, what I won't say bothers me, it's just disheartening that when something goes on, we begin to speak about people as if we don't know them. We begin to speak about people, when you hear other entertainers speak about other entertainers as if they don't know them and been in a private space and they done hung out and we done got down together, and you begin to hear these people speak so easily about what they think and how they should have handled it. And it's like, but we know each other, y'all. And that just is disheartening to me to watch that, where there's a feeling of anybody when it's just your turn. No loyalty. No.
But at the same time, you don't really know them a lot of times.
Yeah.
You know of them.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all spent a little time. But again, it's about friendship is when you've experienced hardships with a person, y'all worked through it, y'all been through, not just you work together. So that's the reason why the loyalty you think you will get is not there, because you haven't experienced the hardships where you saw that person was on the set, where you saw them was in a position where you thought you were having a real conversation, but it wasn't really that. But on another note, Kiva France, because this is the reason why we talk about trust and how to trust people.
Come on.
It says, no Real Housewives sis, you better than that, Mo. Let me say this to you, Kiva France. Let me say this to you. The reason why people don't trust is because, and we're going to say it for the record, the Real Housewives story was fictitious. I've never had a conversation with anybody from anywhere in reference to anything involving the Real Housewives, and in reference to replacing Nene Leakes. Nene Leakes is an OG.
Come on
the Real Housewives. And if somebody was going to replace her, and I can say this based upon the conversations that Monique and I had, it wouldn't be her.
Daddy, I did the post.
Okay, well, I don't look at social media, so I didn't know. But at the end of the day, for those who didn't know, it's fictitious. So you got people making up stuff, and this is the reason why there's a level and a lack of trust. Because people just make up stuff. Like we open up, like I get an email from a friend like, is this real? Are y'all gonna be part of the Real Housewives of Atlanta? No, man. And see, here's the thing. This is the reason why they wouldn't want. They wouldn't want Monique nor our black asses on that show, because what the first thing we would say is, these folks in here, all of them, they too beautiful in terms of the spirit to be fighting with.
Come on.
We need to be creating a level of solidarity amongst ourselves. And they don't want that on no show like that. They want to keep them at odds. You got people who are producers that rather see them fight because they think that's what the people are going to want to watch, versus kumbaya moments where people get along, in my humble opinion. Heard through the grapevine, that shows like this, we've seen contracts for reality shows where they say you might have an electronic recording device in places that you don't know where you're being recorded. For real?
For real?
Nah, man.
You got to, we can put things in your home and you don't know where we place them. That's not good. So
what Jamie Foxx say when he was playing Ray Charles? I'll be badass kid.
I'm not.
It's like they be playing.
They be playing. And they'll say, how far will we go? How far can we go for this dollar, baby? How far are we going to be able to push it? So we just knew, you know, when we saw that story, it made, I'm like, baby, there's somebody out there.
And Denzel Washington, I saw him recently in an interview. I think it was an old interview where he said most eloquently, the media wants to put things out there first. They don't even care if it's true.
Come on.
They just want to be first.
Yes.
So what happens is when you have things like that, it makes you say, how can you trust what it is that you're reading? Because it used to be a time where people believe what it is that they read.
With no...
It's in a book. It's written down. How could they lie? Why would they lie? Because it's people. And what is their agenda? What reason would they do it? Oh, to sell, to have followers, to have subscribers. So that's why we appreciate this humble platform from a standpoint where we're going to resort to the old school ethics of we're going to say what we mean and mean what we say. And we're not here to bash folks. We're here, this is supposed to be an uplifting experience because as we some folks are saying we appreciate what you give to us, while we appreciate in return what you guys give back.
Come on.
To us.
Come on. Come on. You know, that trust thing, and I don't know, just say it really plagues our community because we're so willing to not trust each other.
Mm-hmm.
We are so willing to not trust each other. It's if you go to a major department store chain and you don't get good service and let's just say it was a bad experience, you don't say, I'm never going back there again. That was just, I just had a bad experience, but they major. But we do business with one another and you may have a bad experience. I ain't never supporting you again. So it's something that runs rampant through us. And it's those things right there. If we start building upon, it gets better, in my humble opinion. When we start shouting, when we applaud when people throw money at us. I'm gonna just throw money at you. But we've got to do our inner workings inside of our community. Mm-hmm. Before any of that, I believe makes a difference. No,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
But we've got to do a lot of cleaning up. We've got to do a lot of believing in each other. We've got to do a lot of supporting one another.
And when you support and you're getting supported in your own household, I don't know, but I'm moved when I see families together. I'm moved when I see mom, dad, and the kids together.
Yes.
Or people in relationships and they're enjoying one another, especially when you see them when they get older. Because again, there's so many people who are older that don't have anyone. So when you experience it, it allows you to see individuals. I saw a guy, John Smith right there. He says, he said earlier something in reference to get real. Let's talk about y'all toxic relationship. It's kind of like when you see people put things like that, it allows you to have a level of patience and empathy for individuals as opposed to wanting to saying something to them. Oh, that's what it says. Mo, you and Sidney need to get it together and stop trying to rationalize y'all toxic relationship. That's when you have to say, you got to love people through it because, as I've said before, you never know what's in somebody's medicine cabinet.
Yes.
You don't know what they be taking. You don't know what they be swallowing. And they got some of these prescriptions out there to get you hallucinate, wanting to hurt yourself to stop being depressed.
Come on.
So when you are being loved on the inside, it allows you a level of insulation to have patience towards other people. When you start looking at things like, that's peculiar. Okay? Like that behavior is peculiar, and what I won't do, I'm not going to participate.
Then you gotta look up.
Okay, I'm sorry. And get angry with you because you feel a certain way about us. What we're going to keep on doing is doing what we're doing. And if people start getting in that mode, I believe a lot of clapbacks won't be necessary because it's all right for somebody to have their opinion without you feeling the need to clap back.
It's so cute when he do the little things and say like the T or the clap back. That just tickled me. What's a clap back?
I be hearing him talking about, oh, Shorty done clap back. He done said, Shorty Jaundice out there, they had said that he was out there dirty, and now Shorty Jaundice done clap back and said,
clap back. You know, but our babies like that, you gotta love them harder. Our babies like that, you gotta love them harder because that just makes me say, and I go all the way to the damn left. That just makes me say, how you dealing with your own family? That you would come visit somebody and talk shit. That now we don't know John Smith. I ain't never met John Smith. We don't know John. Now John may be an alias for somebody else. Who knows? But you would just have to say, what type of human being does that? And then you start having empathy for not only them, but the people around them that they may consider their family. Because you say, what is that daily like to deal with somebody that just speaks to speak and don't have any relevance in what they're saying, and when they are speaking, it's something negative. What they family got to go do with that type of person. So now there was a time, baby. Y'all know I'm doing that shit. If you run your mouth like that, out. But now it's like, hey, baby, I feel I empathize with that type of behavior because it makes you say, what you dealing with that you don't have nothing pleasant to say.
Right. And Lady Detox just said, some people are in open relationships. They're not aware of it. Not aware of it. And when that's the case, because, you know, we've heard many people speaking in reference to us that, you know, they're no longer with the person that they were with when they initially were making comments publicly in reference to what they construed as our open relationship. And the beautiful thing about it is this, is that as it relates to her and I, what you see is what you get.
Right. Now get on down. Get on down. Remember that chair?
I ain't messing with you.
All right then. Do you have trust issues, my babies? And here's the thing too, for the babies that just got married. You see right now when people make comments on us being in an open relationship, this is our marriage. Unapologetically. This is our life. Unapologetically. So for the babies that's new into it, other people's opinion don't matter, especially if it's not bringing anything good into y'all energy, y'all space, y'all environment. It don't matter. It does not matter. And so many of us, we get caught up on what other people say. And when you go home, you take that shit back into your house. Well, such and such said this, and such said that. You're not married to such and such and such and such. You married to Earl. That's what you got to deal with. Earl, you married to Shirley. That's what you got to deal when I put out them old names, because damn it, we need to go back to the old way of doing things. Everybody want to be caught up in that's the old day. That's the old way of doing it. That's the old. And you know something else that just came to my mind, Daddy? And I know we're talking about trust issues. I know. But also, sisters, do we fight with trust issues that it's hard for us to allow our men to treat us like ladies? To be treated like a lady. When Sid and I first got together, I remember him saying to me, please, let me open your door. Ain't no man ever said to me, please, let me open your door. I opened it and I got in. So it's those things that I think, that's why I said I think that trust umbrella goes so deep, because it's almost like I don't want to be vulnerable enough to let you make me, or we take it as us being weak. I can open up my own door. I can pull out my own chair. So it's like, are we even allowing our men to treat us like ladies? That's my feeling about that, Daddy.
I mean, and again, I always go to, it works both ways. You know, it's one of those things where, as long as there's that mutual respect, because people ask me, you know, and I'll address what they say, what does open mean? Because inquiring and nosy motherfuckers want to know.
Oh, wait a minute, sugar pie. I like when you get the big one.
Sometimes, every once in a while, I had to say it because I'll admit it tastes good. It tastes good.
Yes, I like it. Let me tell you. Oh, yes, it did.
So, for us, or should I say, open relationships mean what they mean to whoever. But as we've said before, for us, what it means in our going on 15th year of marriage and almost 40 years of friendship, what it means is we are open enough to have the dialogue that we need to have, in order to make our relationship move forward truthfully.
Mm.
And because we live in a sexually oppressed world, everything seems to revolve in the mind of individuals around sex. And for us, that's not the case. Because when you're raising children and a family and things of that nature, it's a part of it as it relates to your relationship. But the bigger part of the movement is that you're operating with a level of honesty and appreciation for one another.
Mm.
And what I'll say is this: in our relationship, there ain't nothing that would be transpiring that the other nigga
Come on.
ain't gonna be present for. And every once in a while, we invite Angela and Jean to the party with us, we must say.
Tell it.
But you know, that's our alter ego.
Come on.
You did. But short of that,
you know, they were sitting there like,
who is that?
Wait a minute. Yes.
But at the end of the day, whatever it is, if you find yourself asking somebody what their relationship is, that means that you've taken your eyes off of what your relationship is.
Come on.
If it means so much to you that you want to know that, it means your life is not interesting enough.
Mm-mm. Come on.
That you want to focus on you. I'm one of them old school cat where you don't walk in on Trina and Nate and they was doing something, right? You got the cats that want to stay there and peek through the door and look at Trina and Nate. I'm like, man, let me close this door because they're handling their business. I've got things to do too.
Come on.
Okay?
Yeah.
Why am I going to be sitting there peeping them? Because what they called that was blockers back in the day. Why you, man, go on. If you ain't setting it up to make it happen, get out the way so it can happen. Don't worry about nobody else. But Yeah.
See, that's what I'm saying, Daddy. That's what I take. That's the thing that boils my water.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? It boils my water when you hear other people talking about other people's business. And I'm like, what the shit does that have to do with you? Oh, I know you ain't got nobody. Oh, we're going to sit here and have a goddamn hen party talking about another bitch relationship that they got each other. Yeah, it might be whatever it is, but goddamn it if they don't have each other. But y'all talking about it, who you going to go with when you get off from talking about that? Who you going to lay next to tonight? Who, when you get from talking about them, when you sign off, who you going to be looking at? Oh, nobody. And I don't say that in judgment. I say that in the sense of, God damn it, worry about your own backyard. And if you focus more on your own backyard and cleaning your shit up, you wouldn't have enough time to talk about somebody else's backyard. And you might be in a healthy, successful relationship.
You might be.
And when do y'all sit around and talk about why you're not in a healthy relationship? Because all the conversations I've been hearing is what they didn't do, what this one didn't do. But goddamn it, what did you do? What did you do? So before y'all get to focusing on other people's shit, before you get to locking in and you want to drop the tea and spill the dirt and do the hula hoop, all that old boy and clapping back. Okay, you don't say the hula hoop. All right, then. All that bullshit. Start asking yourself, let me check in on me. And when you really get to checking in on you, you might want to say, let me sign off from this bitch because this right here, this gonna keep us being old hens.
And if some of you out there may have been under the impression that you heard Monique just say to her husband, did I just say hula hoop nigga? Referring to me? That's how we get down. You see what I'm saying? That's what happened. You know what I'm saying? I'm not offended by that. I'm not going to call for a protest against her referring to me in the N-word. Using the N-word. Because, you know, if you're inclined to have an open relationship where you can speak freely, and again, the hats that we wear in this relationship for us, for myself, it's a blessing. Because to be able to say things to one another, you know, and you know where you coming from because I'm talking to, right here, this my man, okay? It's my man, lady. You know she lady? But this my man right here. This my man, my home dog from back in the day.
Yeah.
You be boys.
Yes. Y'all don't listen. And for the baby that says she just got married, baby, don't be no prissy bitch, please. Don't be the kind, but you just talk to me like that. And I'm not saying no craziness, disrespect. I'm not saying that shit. I'm talking about the kind, don't cuss in front of me. Oh, I can't fart in front of him. Don't be that. Don't be that. Y'all be friends. When we were kids, right? And I went over Sidney's house. I met him. I went up to the school. And then we left and went back over his house. And when it was time to leave, we had to get to the bus stop, right? And I had on my little stripe mini, it wasn't a mini skirt, but it was like, the full little skirt above my knee, right? And my little white hospital shoes. Remember? Yeah, I had that on. So we trying to get to the bus stop. Well, I've always been a big girl, right? So Sidney is in front. Well, at the time he was Gene. He in front of me, and he turned around and said, "Bring your fat ass on."
I said, big ass.
Oh, you said nothing?
I said, bring your big ass on.
Yeah. And y'all know what I did?
Brought up big ass on.
Right, I had to get that bus. Wasn't nobody tender, falling all apart. Daddy, I said, wasn't nobody tender.
That's exactly what you said.
Come on, y'all. This is,
Right, that's what I'm comfortable saying when she kept wanting to open her door. I said, okay, trash.
Yeah.
You want to go ahead and get on out the door. You don't want nobody to love you. Go ahead, trash. Get on out the door. Like, I'm just letting you out because it was my trick for the night. Go on, get on out. And I'm not giving you your money, okay, for last night. Get out. You see what I'm saying? So
That's what he said.
It's almost like the opportunity to have fun.
And sometimes I be like, what did you just say?
Trash.
I be like,
You
all right,
want to
then.
be trash?
All right, then.
Okay, get on out the car. Don't let me open the door for you. No, you don't want love.
Come on.
You want to be trash.
Come on. Come on.
And then she gets to laughing and says, I'm sorry, I don't want to be trash.
I don't want to be trash.
Okay, then.
Right. So, and it's a learning experience too, baby girls. For my babies that just got married, little young sisters, it's a learning experience, and be willing and open to learn. And you hear some people say, well, that's just how I am. Well, bitch, that don't make sense. Be unafraid to say that's how I used to be.
Alex the Great said,
oh no,
people think everyone has to live like them. That's a mental illness. Everyone's life is different. And when we learn how to appreciate, that everybody's life is different.
Yes.
And no one has to live exactly like you live, because if you elect not to be free in your life and that's how you like to live that life. But if you want to be free, live that life. But you will never, ever experience trust unless you are free enough to let go of the secrets with that person that you're with that make you tick. Unless you're free enough to share with them the things that make you feel sensitive when you discuss it, and when you can entrust that person with those things and they handle those things with care, then you reciprocate it. That builds that bond in conjunction with you removing the judgment that you have for the fact that that person is saying, I like peanut butter and I like bananas on my sandwich. Ew, you nasty. Now that's trivial, but there are things in our life that people are saying, you know what I mean, that are along the lines of, this is just what I think. This is how I think. This is how I see things. Be able to encourage that person through your removal of judgment towards them to be able to share with you and watch what happens.
Well, Daddy, it's about that time.
It's about that time.
For us to say, I'm Run DMC and you. Daddy, you supposed to say J Master J.
I'm not him.
I know, but we was just going.
No, I refuse. I don't accept it. Now, you already know my skills. I'm not with it. Send it home the right way.
We love y'all, my sweet babies, and we want to thank y'all for joining us today, because y'all could have been anywhere else, but y'all decided y'all was going to come hang out with us. So we want to thank y'all. Tell a friend, tell another friend, and then tell 10 more friends to tune into the YouTube channel, Monique Worldwide, and go to Monique and Sidney's Open Relationship and have some fun with us. And like my daddy always says, the mind is like a parachute.
It is no good unless it's open.
We love y'all.
Mwah.
Bye, babies.